Where did you see? Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City of Kingston Planning Board meeting. Today is Monday, December 16th. It's 6 o'clock. My name is Suzanne Cahill. I'm the Planning Director for the City of Kingston. Just a few short announcements before we do begin. If there is an emergency, we do ask that you do not use the elevator. Please use the stairs. If you do need assistance, ask us and we will help you. If you need to have a conversation outside of ones that are happening with the planning board, we just ask that you take it outside of the room. There's chambers that are out there, and there is another conference room on the opposite side of the chambers. If you go through the chambers, the men's room will be to the left and women's to the right. I ask that if you do have a cell phone, please silence it right now so we don't interfere with the meeting. And with that, I am going to start the meeting. Our chairperson, Wayne Platt, will be late this evening. Members Sage Newkirk, Matt Gillis, and Vince Archer are excused for the evening. So I'm going to call the other members' names and they can just raise their hands. Chuck Polacco, Kara Grundig, Andrew Harris, and Robert Jacobson. We also have Alderwoman Pasty, who is our common council liaison with us tonight. We have Matt Jankowski, our assistant corporation counsel, Kyla Dide, who's the assistant planner, and we have Chief Ray from the fire department. So with that, we're just going to start the meeting. We're going to go through a couple of public hearing items. We did have a request from one item to be moved up on the agenda because they have another meeting to get to this evening as well. So I'm going to start with the adoption of the November 18, 2024 Planning Board meeting minutes. I know that the members have all received them. Is there any comment or question with those? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to call for a motion to adopt. Motion by Chuck, is there a second? Second by Robert Jacobson. Any questions? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carried. Second. Okay. We're going to skip item number 2, public hearing. We'll come back to that. Item number 3 is 64 and 66 Pine Street. It is a lot line revision of lands of ASC Properties, LLC, and Lynn Woods, SBL 56108-3-44 and 56108-345. Secret determination, transect zone T4N, Ward 5, Lynn Woods, and ASC Properties, LLC. Is there anybody here other than the applicants that wish to speak on this lot line revision? Okay, hearing none of the applicants present?
I actually don't see Lynn. She's supposed to be here, but I don't see her.
Okay, so we're going to close that public hearing, but we will put that one to the side and come back to that one.
Oh, she's walking in.
Lynn.
Yes.
Hi, we're
Already?
Yeah.
You're fast. Sorry.
It's okay. Hey, Lee. Okay, so I'll let you get settled. We're on item number 3, Wayne.
Okay.
I just want to introduce yourself. We had the public hearing and nobody spoke. So check in.
So what do you do?
Huh?
I need to explain or?
Yeah, if you want to just talk to the board and tell them what is happening with the
Sure.
lot line revision, it's up on the screen behind you.
Sure. So I own 68 Pine Street and I, a couple months ago, bought 66 Pine Street, which is next door.
End of the lot, there was a very large derelict garage that I originally hoped to fix up, and that it was half falling down. So the neighbor on the other side of me, Don Blanchard, which is the ASC Properties, whatever it is, he and his wife, he has an electrical supply business. It's in a low concrete building, and behind that is a barn that he repurposed into a house. It was a rental property for a very long time. He and his wife have been living there, and there's no backyard. The garage butts along the house. So he proposed buying a property with a garage about 1,000 square feet so they can have a backyard, which works out well for me because instead of having to spend a lot of money to tear it down or fix it up, he is going to have a yard. And they were planning to move to South Carolina. She moved down there, didn't like it, came back, and so they figured out if they could have a yard, they would stay in Kingston and stay in that property, which he used to rent out.
Okay.
So it works out really well for me because I still have a yard. You know, the garage is gone, it's much nicer. And, you know, I don't want anyone building on that property, and I know that by selling it, I give up, you know, any power over it, but I don't think anyone ever would because there's actually no yard for that barn, so it really increases the value of their property.
Straightforward.
All right. So this is a type 2 action. No secret review is required. We just approve as presented. So, I'll finish it up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this, I would entertain a motion, with the following conditions. Board policy 6 will be on the, final map. It's approved as presented with the lot, with descriptions for the final resultant parcels submitted to staff, and 5 paper copies and 1 Mylar copy be submitted with the owner's signature for the chairman's signature and filing at the county. Motion by Robert. I have a second by Andrew. Any question on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call, everybody in favor? Okay.
Thanks, Lynn.
So what happens, so you've approved it?
Yep.
So I then can call my lawyer and finish the process? Do I get a piece of something in writing?
You'll get a decision letter that'll,
And then when I get that, then I can move forward with the sale?
Yeah.
Great, okay.
Well, the maps have to be filed with the county clerk's office before it becomes, before the lot line is officially moved.
Okay, and you,
We'll give you a written explanation of all of that. If you want to stop in or give a call, I can kind of explain.
Sure. okay,
Just
thank you.
just let Chris know that it was approved and he'll get the maps down to the office.
Great. Who is Chris?
Chris Sell?
Oh, okay.
Chris Sell, sir?
Chris, isn't it?
Is that who you got? Renier Mario?
So, oh, Chris, who, I'm
Chris
sorry.
Sell, is he your
Renier
surveyor?
Myers, your surveyor?
Oh, I don't know, Don hired him, I don't know who that is, but
Okay.
all right, so I'll let the surveyor know, in other words, I'll let Don know.
Yeah.
Okay, great, well, thank you very much.
Okay. All right, item number 4 is 100 Kenbrook Avenue and
we're gonna skip over that.
Okay.
And come back to that.
They're not here
That
right now?
one and number 2. So number 5.
All right, is, item number 5 is 463 Beale Street, subdivision of the lands of Kathleen Griffin and Edwin Sean Pierce. Section block and lot is 56.50-1-2.100. Secret termination is in transect zone T4N-O. Ward 9, Kathleen Griffin and Edward Sean Pierce are the applicant's owners. Anybody besides the applicant owners wishing to speak on item number 5? Okay, are you
The first name's Edward.
Edward? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Are you Edward?
Yes.
Come on up. So, Sorry about that.
That's okay.
And are you Kathleen? Okay, welcome.
Hi.
All right, so we got a map up there on the screen. We're gonna go slide it. And just explain what your plans are.
So it's really hard to see it on this map, but on this map is our parcel of land. We're on a Beale Street. We have a little house down here. It goes up the hill and then the parcel expands. And there's a whole other street up here. We wanted to subdivide and put a larger house up there. It's about, you've got the square, just we're just peeking up on 3/4 of an acre.
Is the idea to sell off the vacant parcel up on DeWitt Street to build, or are you planning to build?
We would be building.
You want to build?
Yeah, we're gonna build a one space for art, and then above it will be a rental.
My last two studio spaces have gotten black mold and I'm over it. So we're gonna build a space and have the house. But we'll probably be selling the little house that we live in now,
Down below.
down below, eventually. Maybe, we'll see.
Are you jumping out at you?
No, we did have some confusion over the deeds. They were a little difficult to follow. Some
Very
of
old,
the- Yeah, some of the older deeds and the older maps were difficult to follow. So we had been in touch with the surveyor who's given us some of the documents. We've given them to Corporation Council to review, but as far as, doing the approval, I think we can move it forward and we'll just confirm that it's one of 3 parcels on a deed, so that's not a typical situation. Usually it's a straightforward deed, but your original deed was 3 separate parcels, and the first 2 we can't identify, so we're gonna be pulling that off, and you'll have to
Yeah, they were all
be a legal thing separating it out. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions from the board?
Mhm.
All right, under seeker, it's an unlisted action.
You know, it's just up to fine tuning.
Okay. This has yet to be completed.
No, I moved it front corner, I just don't have the.
Oh, sorry, but it is in order, your
Yeah.
the forms are okay. So I have before me a short environmental assessment form, staff has indicated is in order. At this time, I'll make a motion that we approve it. Do I have a second? Second by Robert Jacobson. All in favor? Wayne Platt is a yes. Charles Palaco, Robert Jacobson, Andrew Harris. Harris in too tonight?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. All right, that is approved.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very
All
much.
right, hold on, one more thing. So at this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 5 with the following conditions. Board Policy 6, result descriptions will be submitted to staff for review. 1 mile, 5 paper copies of the survey will be signed by the board chair. And what's this here?
approved the Corporation Council legal description.
Okay, so that is a motion. Do I have a second on that? Second by Andrew. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Now you can. Thank you, folks. Huh? This one? Thank you.
Okay, we want to go to 7. So we change 7 real quick.
Joe's on, wait, he's here. It's like it's 10 minutes.
Thank you. Seven, you said?
Yeah.
All right, we're in old business, 140-150 Boulevard and 66-92 Pettit Avenue. It's a revised site plan to construct 3 8-unit residential multiplexes with major waiver requests. Section block and lot is 56.40-2-4 and 6, seeker determination, Transect Zone T3N, Ward 5, Park Ventures Corporation is the applicant. Welcome, folks. Can you state your names for the record, please?
Joe D'Angelis. It's R, last name spelled someone. You have to spell that.
I'm not going to spell that.
I'm just gonna look at you for reference.
Okay. Welcome back. All right, so yeah,
Well, we came in front of the board back in February. We had a general site layout that we presented at the time. We were looking to put 4 buildings on the site, and then we had a discussion, and we got more information. And we found out that, based on the site conditions and the sizes that we have, and the spaces and everything, we recreated the site, and instead we used 3 buildings. The idea was to get into the existing curb cut that's already existing off Route 32. We created exactly what would be a cul-de-sac. This is a 100-foot diameter circle with a 24-foot road in it. This is typical to a dead-end cul-de-sac, basically, where a car or a fire truck or a emergency vehicle can go in and make a full turn. All these aisles are also 24 feet or 26 feet, parking spaces, and because of the reduction of the footprints of 4 buildings to 3 buildings, we had to push the building to go into, get the same number of stories, which was 3.5 that we requested before, but we had to go to 8 units per building to compensate for losing that 4th building that was there before. Ken Hoover, the project architect, she came up with the concept, as you can see. I believe she went through the code and the, the small plex was the example.
I think so.
Yes, and basically use that concept to develop more into a plan or what the 3.5 story building would look like. With materials and finishing colors, as you can see over there. The plan set that was submitted had a general layout of the building and some floor elevations and finished materials, which was part of this plan. The site itself, because of the nature of the grading, the house to the west that's currently owned by Oscar had a current encroachment on the property where there's a lot of fill over there. That's going to require us to build that retaining wall that you see in the heavy line there. This is going to be a 2-step retaining wall. Most likely we might use a segmental wall with some kind of a stone facing on it. It could be similar to the one that's already been used on the boulevard that you drop down towards Golden Hill on the right and left. Use that type. We can also go with something else that has more decorative into it with some landscaping to preserve that site from, get the same, we don't want to mess with the grading up there, at the same time allow us to be able to use more space on our property. The,
What do you estimate the height of that wall to be?
I would say 12 feet maybe.
12?
So, yeah, you put it in a 2-step, 6 each, or maybe 8 each maximum, wouldn't be more than that.
So where you see the landscaping on the top,
If you-
it's gonna be a tiered,
Yes, this is a tier. The reason, this is the highest point. Actually, the grade drops down this way and this way. So this is gonna go in, and then in this corner is gonna have the 2 steps, so. just-
Okay.
so the encroachment issue has been taken care of then?
I don't know if we can. I think this is something that legally is being going on between the 2 properties. We're gonna,
Okay.
I mean, if you go back to the existing condition, which is page 2, I think, or something like that.
And that's the The house you're talking about with that?
Yeah, you see this line here?
Yeah,
That's basically the fill that this property built over the years. In the proposed site plan, if you can go back to that, we had a green space, some playground, landscaping, pedestrian sidewalks all the way leading to the boulevard. Created a driveway to the existing site there to the west, I'm sorry, to the east. And it's basically the same driveway that they have. The only difference is we just channelize it. 24 feet two-way entrance. Most likely, I mean, there is a right of way right now, so we're gonna keep that right of way for them. As far as utility, currently, I mean, there's a gas line that's going through the property. We're most likely going to relocate that gas line because it goes right through the building footprint. I do not know if these buildings will need to be served with gas or not, because City of Kingston is a New York City stretch, so I don't know if gas is even allowed in these buildings, most likely than not. And at the same time, for water and sewer, there is a manhole that exists on site that we believe is a dead end of a sewer line, so we probably could visit that and see if we can tap into that. The water line currently exists on the boulevard, so it's a matter of also doing a service tap and coming into the property.
you wound up finding it?
Say again?
You wound up finding that?
The sewer line?
Yeah.
Yes, well, we found a manhole.
Okay, that's what we were,
Yeah.
okay, because there was elusive when we were there.
Yeah, we found it. Yeah, he did some clearing and we just,
All right,
were able to find some things. We did some testing too on the soil. We thought we had, found a good 5-6 feet of unusable material. Drainage wise, we're intending, we are under an acre, but we still didn't keep all drainage on the site. Right now, the way everything drains, it goes from the retaining wall towards that circle. We kept the circle green on the middle. We're gonna use that for stormwater. Anything else extra, we might use chambers and the parking lot to get the water through. We didn't want to develop the plans further than that before we really know the board directions on waiving, because we do have a few waivers that we asked for. So we're at the point right now where, at the direction of the board, which way you guys want.
that's for setback and building height?
Building height,
Number of units.
outside the build to zone, number of units is now gone from proposed 7 to 8. So they had originally proposed 4 buildings with 7 units in them each. Now they're proposing 3 buildings with 8 units. So the maximum in a T3N for a small duplex is 4. You can make it 6 if 2 of them are affordable by the code. So 6 is ultimately the maximum. So 8 is an increase of 2 more units per building. In addition to that, there would be potential waiver for dormers. There is a section of the code that limits the amount of dormer on a building. So that calculation would have to be made. I think these are going to require that as well. It's 50% of the building is the maximum. It reads, let's see, dormers at present shall not be individually more than 15 feet wide and collectively not more than 50% of the facade elevation. So I believe that's obviously going to be a situation here. So there are multiple waivers and they're looking, we've identified, we've gone through and done a review at staff level. We didn't schedule the public hearing for this meeting because we didn't feel that all the information was available and was sufficient to schedule a hearing yet. That's something the board can talk about doing in January, but obviously there is some more information we want. I think before you can really look at some of these waivers, you need to have a sense of what the project would look like from a vantage point of, say, 32. And that's to really evaluate your height and the units numbers, because you're talking about a building size and what it's going to look like. So you really want to know not just what the elevation is as they've presented here, and they presented it with obviously suitable materials that meet the code, which I appreciate. And I think though, in order for you to really look at this and think about it, you're going to need that. So maybe.
Is it more like a visual from 32?
Right, yeah, visual assessment, so like if you're on 32, what is this gonna look like? Because I know that one of your arguments is that the buildings sit down lower, and that's why you're thinking height is not going to be an issue. So I think you need to demonstrate and document that. I think it should be documented maybe from the neighborhood in the rear, to see what it might look like from Pettit Avenue, maybe at the dead end. What these would appear. Will they be visible? Won't they be visible? I mean, that's something for you to look at and put the project in the actual surroundings. So take a photo of the actual surroundings and put the project in that photo. I think that's an important step for you to take.
And will that calculation be done regarding the dormers if we consider it a half story or full story between now and the next meeting?
Yes. Yeah. And then on these elevation drawings, there's a couple of comments that we made, and we'll send you guys a copy of our full staff notes, because like you're showing them here in a series of 3, and that's not the way they're set up. So we'd like to have that, like a drawing like that, with the anticipated landscaping kind of shown in it.
And then we can also show that from 32 and Pettit.
Correct,
in the
yeah,
renderings.
Yeah.
And see better.
right, yeah. And there was a couple elevations that were just labeled wrong, there were, one of them, the building that is not, but sits by itself is labeled with a west elevation. I think you
Okay.
went north and south versus west and east. So. Just some simple things, but
We could be guilty of that because we did keep these nearly around. But
Right, yeah, yeah.
Is there a plan eventually to have that dedicated a city street? Is that something you're looking to,
the city.
I mean, is that something you're looking to do?
We haven't really honestly thought about it. I mean, it'll be set up to be conform to what their requirements would be in the city street. But right now it's there.
I mean, 24 feet wide with a cul-de-sac.
Joe, maybe you want, I mean, I don't know if it's, if you want to or not, but I know you had talked about, additional property. Is that something in the picture
Yes.
in the near future? If you want to talk about that, if you don't, then that's your right.
No, we're keeping the conversations open with some of the
Okay.
surrounding landowners and the current houses that are there. I mean, my goal is to kind of conform everything to fit in the way it is now, so we don't wind up sticking out like a sore thumb. It's definitely open with some of the existing landowners.
Okay.
So if you do purchase additional properties there, I mean, are you gonna start construction? It's all moving parts here, right? But do you buy it first and then?
Yeah, connection to additional property, right now it's really difficult. The topography
Yeah.
is hard. So if he ends up buying anything to like a southeast of it or something like that, you can develop more, but I think that would be more of a coming off the intersection where Golden Hill is, and gonna be that traffic light and maybe service that site by itself. I think the site,
You don't see them tied together?
In the future, that would be our
Yeah.
goal if anything else happened, but there are obstacles that are out of my control.
the
with some of them.
topography is really.
So,
what it is.
yeah.
I mean, it's really a matter of like, do you buy the house next to it and completely demolish the house and just dedicate all that project just to make it a connection to the road? I don't know, that's a financial decision.
Any, we go back to the picture there, open space for people to,
Yes, if we put the, all right, proposed site. right to the. This area here has a playground. And some green area there. I believe this is also one. Yeah, this one to the side, this is basically a whole open green space, acres and acres of. This is a,
As well.
do you have this on the? The one I-
I do, that's the one you sent
You
today.
wanna put that up, just a minute, give her perspective of what.
Stuff that's not on the table, so I mean, at this point, we're really focused on the application. Applications within the footprint of that particular lot. Going on a
Yep.
tangent here. So me personally, to give some feedback to the developer, which is I think what they're looking for. I personally like the 3 buildings over the 4. I think the circle is a great idea for access in and out. I see that he has obviously plenty of room for dumpster enclosure for access in and out against the circle. I understand he needs the waiver. Personally, I don't think 4 stories is going to be a problem. Yes, the visual will help, but being familiar with the site, it is a significant hole that the property is going to be down inside. The building, the property, the encroacher will call is significantly higher than the site. The other house up on the boulevard is significantly higher, so by bringing the height up, you're kind of, I think, evening out the overall development, so it doesn't look like it's sitting in a hole. I don't think any of these buildings are going to tower over any of the neighbors. And I like the architectural renderings with the color, so I think there's been a lot of thought put into this. I think the visuals will help. I think we do need them for the waiver document, but I think they're definitely on the right track in my opinion.
One other thing I was gonna say is, with our screening with the trees and stuff that we're planting, we are going to be putting a fence around the whole entire back. That will fit in, color wise and kind of fitting in with the landscape, not just like a white vinyl fence or chain link or whatever. So we are gonna take, care of making sure that we are separate from the surrounding parcels as well. That kind of thicker black line in the back, behind building C in the playground.
And I think the retaining wall, keeping it in the same family as the other retaining wall along the boulevard will match, will look nice. I understand the tiered, I mean, right now that site is just kind of falling down, so it all makes sense to me. I don't see any issues here.
I disagree with you, we're going up in some tangents, though, because
Well, I mean, we're talking about other property that he doesn't own, so at this point.
Well, I know,
that's not
I mean,
part of the application.
my question was, about the, any open space for people to enjoy, that was.
Yeah, no, that they went through, but looking at Lawton Park, looking at aerials and stuff, that's just not on the table. So.
One park is actually, it's not a park. It is privately owned land. So it is not technically considered parkland that they can use for their open space requirement, or the board can
I
consider.
didn't
it
even have
as-
that in my mind.
Okay, all right, just to be clear for everybody, that is privately owned land, so it's not publicly accessible.
I've seen the 2 houses that are there now use that road and go down to their backyard. Is that still going to be open to them?
Right there, yes, this driveway here is gonna be what serves them.
So, one other.
That's going to be there.
Yes, they have a right of way currently for it, so that's.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, they have the right of way, so we're gonna just pave it nice and, because it's kind of falling down.
So we've had discussions even at the site visit, even when you were here previously for board meetings about building height, and even though we didn't take a vote on, major waiver approval. I think that the temperature of the board then was like, we recognize that it sits down low and building height. And being up, not being up right on 32, that's another waiver too, right? Setback from
Yes.
has to be incurred, yeah, so, that was some other waivers that I'm looking at, but, I think that the board recognized that the topography, for me anyway, would be okay with the building height, so.
Just to get back to the right of way, Joe, is that a prescribed right of way or is it an
It's
easement?
honestly,
How is it?
it's really questionable. I'm gonna
Okay.
have to wind up rewriting it into the,
It's on the survey map that we received from the it does.
it calls for it, but it's kind of,
Across your land, so
Yes.
I guess the question I'm asking is the first house is pretty easy to provide and access off of your property. But the second house in, are you saying that the driveway that accesses that first house is gonna extend
So
then
they-
to the second?
they haven't, there's an easement on the Clinton Bennett property for the Scott property to get to their driveway. So it's, I allow an easement to get to their easement and then their easement gets to them. So that's not my property.
Right, that's why I asked the question.
Yes, if you look at the aerial overlay,
Yeah,
the right of way that we're given, here's the line that going in, it's right on top of where they are right now.
right, but this one comes
Oh,
now
what-
here,
yes,
so,
Joe was saying that these people technically have a right to their land.
so they have a right through this person's
Yes.
property?
Yeah.
So that I'm like, I haven't, it's just been like that, so I haven't, I've left it alone.
Okay,
But right now, it does go technically, right, they have an easement in there to get to their driveway, not, I only have one easement. So,
I mean, yeah, if it becomes an issue, even if they poke through to that cul-de-sac. It's not a significant.
yeah, I mean, I just want to make, I mean, I would just be concerned that, I don't know how it's written, that's why.
Yeah, I
was
didn't,
asking.
we didn't really
Okay. Do you have an attorney looking at that?
yeah,
Yeah,
Okay, all right, that, it might be good for them to reach out to the city's corporation council to talk about that, so that we can make sure it's covered. Okay,
yeah, because it's only it's one.
well, we have room for it, and these are.
However, that gets-
Driveways, they don't need to put more than 10 feet.
yeah, I know, but if you're designing now, you want to
Yes,
figure it out now.
account for it, absolutely.
No, sir.
No,
We could do it in a public hearing, you could talk, submit questions at public hearing, but somebody is not, I'm not trying to be rude. Okay? Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that, yes, there will be one. Okay.
One other thing too, I spoke with, Justin Yates today about the Pettit Avenue Extension Street sign and number, so, the address will be changed back to Boulevard in the near future, and the Pettit Avenue Extension Boulevard Street sign will be removed, probably at the beginning of next week.
Okay.
So that will be out of it, so.
Okay. And Joe and Qatar too, one other thing, that we've had it in the notes in the past, but there will be a lot line deletion application
Yes.
to combine all the parcels into
Combine
a
it
single,
all in one line.
right? So you're aware of that. So I mean, that might be something good to get in for January too, because that also will require a public hearing.
Okay,
So
So we'll
if the
put it in.
board wants to move this to the public hearing, I think it might be appropriate to allow public feedback. We've already received some written comment. And that has become part of the record, but that way we'll be able to gain other public comment in January and then you can prepare responses as appropriate.
We want to wait until next month for looking at floor plans and that kind of stuff. or
Yeah, we will send them our notes. We'll send you our notes with all our comments.
I mean, I know, from a fire chief point of view, you don't have any objection with the circle or? This time, no. Just as a direction of design, we're not driving supervising.
We'll send those out for review. You'll send this out for review, for like fire and stuff, to look at.
Yeah. Chief, you might have recommendations on where hydrants and stuff
Right.
like that, you're gonna wanna see. Okay.
So we're in a position to have the public hearing scheduled for January.
I think so, and, if you have the public hearing and you feel that it needs to be held open, you can continue the public hearing. If there's more information that you feel needs to be acquired, you can close it, you can keep it open for written comment for a couple weeks beyond. You have a lot of options, but I think, given, you know, what they've developed so far, I think it's appropriate to schedule it.
Anything else to eat?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so
We need a motion to go over here or not?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, making sure.
Yeah. That's
And we'll
coming, that's
do that.
coming.
and table at the same time, so, right, you do that.
Table, send us evidence, so yeah.
All right, any other questions, any questions from the board? All right, so at this time, I'll make a motion that we move to have a public hearing open for this particular project in January, at the January meeting. And also to, at this time, table number 7. So is that it?
And send staff.
No, consent staff notes. Yeah. That is a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Chuck Palaco. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. See you next one.
I just want to say thanks for pushing the order.
Yeah.
It's so comfortable.
I know, you have another meeting.
Plenty more opportunity for public comments. So I wasn't, again, I wasn't trying to be rude. but- Okay, all right. Thank you.
Just making sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You go to the rate now, or you?
No, we gotta go back to.
Two?
Number 2, yep. Now this is just a public hearing,
Oh, okay.
right?
No.
All right, still at public hearings, item number 2 is 61-63 Marys Avenue, special permit to create a centralized hub for fiber network equipment. Section block and lot is 56.42-1-1. Secret determination, transit zone SD-I, Ward 9. Archtop Fiber is LLC is the applicant, Benedictine Hospital is the owner. Anybody besides owner or applicant wishing to speak on item number 2? Okay. Seeing nobody, we're going to close the public hearing on item number 2.
And that's all you have to do.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Item number 4, you said? Yeah. Okay. 100 Tenbrook Avenue and 148-150 Cornell Street, lot line revision of the lands of 100 Brooks LLC. Section block and lot is 48.334-4-3.100 and 48.334-4-3.200. Secret determination, Transect Zone T5F, Aaron Chilovich. All right? That's right. Okay, wow. Is the applicant, 100 Brooks LLC is the owner. Anybody besides the applicant owner wishing to speak on item number 4? Come on, please. How are you?
Thank you.
Good. Aaron is here. We have a picture in the back here for a sec. I'm having trouble signing tonight. I might be having a incident. All right, so explain what your plan is, sir.
So currently, when the owner purchased these two properties, 2 lots, the house and the brick warehouse, the single family house and the brick warehouse were on 1 lot, and the rear yard was on a 2nd lot. The owner uses the brick warehouse in the rear yard as an art studio and rents the single family house. And she would like to redraw the lot lines so that the single family house is on its own lot and the yard and brick warehouse is on their own lot.
Okay.
Based on the usage.
Based on the usage and long-term, potentially selling the house, she's not sure, she has I think, good tenant there.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
Any questions?
she was here a few months ago.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and she's, what, a few minutes later, she's supposed to be here.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Okay. So this is a type 2 action under seeker, so no further review of the board is required. All right, so at this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 4 with board policy 6. Hi, welcome back. It's been time for me to say goodbye. Take your gift. One Mylar copy and 5 paper copies to be provided by the surveyor. And written descriptions will also have to be included.
Yep.
And that is it, right, Sue? All right, there's a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Robert Jacobson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Gary. All right, goodbye. Thank you. Good seeing you now.
Makes your job very easy, doesn't it?
I know, I work too late to miss
How
that.
are things going there? Pretty good?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Good.
Yeah, good, yeah, it's really, yeah, I'd like to have, a little reception.
Thank you.
Who helped me so much.
Okay.
It's really appreciated.
Good,
Great.
good. Wish you continued success.
Thank you so much.
6.
Okay.
6 now? Okay. All right, good night.
Good night.
All right, I have a major waiver request. Item number 6 is 64 Darrenbacher Street, major waiver request from 8-foot required side setback for installation of an HVAC condenser unit. Section block and lot is 48.82-4-15, seeker determination, zone T3N, Ward 6. Danny Camacho, in parentheses, D Road Heating and Air, is the applicant. Ian Grigg and Evica Room are the owners. State your names to the record, please.
Danny Camacho, representing E. Rody. Okay, great.
All right. Got a picture coming up here soon.
The right one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I know you gave a lot of pictures, so I wasn't sure which.
So is this one of those typical Mitsubishi?
Exactly, yeah, so it's Mitsubishi heat pump, its footprint itself is probably somewhere in the range of 50 inches tall by about 12 inches deep by about 3 feet wide. So it's typically smaller than your conventional Q box unit. The reason why I asked for the waiver is that part of the requirement for the code is that there is an 8-foot setback to the property lines that does not exist in this neighborhood. The measurement from Mr. Griggs' corner of the house to the very beginning of the neighbor's driveway, this is his driveway, is 6 feet. So wherever the actual line exists is where. And then from here to here is a total of 16 feet. So this unit is placed back behind this existing shrub, back in there. The front side is obviously not wanted for this installation. This is Mr. Griggs' driveway, which he has a full garage to the rear on this side of the house. And then on the rear side, there is a egress. Well, it doesn't block his egress. He has a fenced-in area which has a gate right up against the home. So to place a unit there would also impede his egress from his backyard, although he's outside of the house. Yeah, so that's the cause for our waiver. I've sent other pictures with his neighbors, 70, 72 across the street, or 73 across the street, that have very similar units. Here's a box, that first picture, you can see that box unit there.
Yeah.
This is for the house 56. That's existing, that's been there 100 years. This is a very similar unit, again, very similar distances from this home to the next property line. My unit is just about the same as that. although it's mounted on the ground on a stand. This is 70, so 2 doors away. That's the roof of Mr. Briggs' home. That's right in the driveway. Very typical 8-foot driveway, so you gotta be careful.
Well, I think that this condenser, this one picture we have here, these two window units will be eliminated with this installation, right?
I'm sorry?
There's 2 window installations they'll be removed then, right here?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a quieter condition, so.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
So that's good.
Yeah, for sure. The spec sheet that was submitted has these rated at 52 decibels at full operation.
Yeah.
So at 1%, so as we're speaking now, it's the same sound. And this is now also part of his primary heating source.
How's the board feel about this? Everybody good?
I mean, I don't have any issue. Obviously, the other side is the driveway. You can't put it in the front. It's on the side. The neighbors are in agreement with it. And the back is the egress. It's meeting the intent of the code of 2 feet shy. And it's in the same character as the rest of the neighbors, so I don't have any issue.
Screening? Screening?
I think that part of the code is you need to screen this thing too, right? I mean, I had some done in my house this year, so.
As screening or shrubbery. So that's what we're using this front guy here for.
So that shrub takes care of that then?
There's a street that on photo, you don't see that guy, and you'll see the unit on back of the.
I think you're gonna have to, I think you will have to put a fence or another shrub up in front of it.
Okay, we can leave that to building safety for that.
I mean, that's the code.
Yeah.
It can't be, if it is visible from the street, which it is visible from the street, maybe not head on, but it is visible, you have to screen it. That's the requirement.
But they can't screen the front of it. They only have to screen the side. I mean, there's no way you're going to screen it in its entirety because you have the neighbor's driveway. So you can put a bush maybe on the street side of the unit, but you can't put anything in front of it. The manufacturer, they have to vent. So you can put one to the left of the unit, but you can't put anything in front of it. You got the neighbor's driveway, and it has to circulate air.
Well, obviously they have a wood frame base around, I guess it looks like stone maybe.
That's part of the code that's required for the New York State Clean Heat. The unit has to be on drainage base, so we build up a 2x4 pressure treated, well-known drainage stone, so that whatever this does condense water will seep out.
But you've already had discussions with building safety about screening and all that stuff. That's all part of the application. I mean, I know, like with my house, that shrub right there constituted screening so I mean, I think we should just leave it up to building safety on that. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that shrub meets the intent of the code. That's my point. I think it needs, the unit itself needs to be screened. I think the line sets should also be treated so that they blend more with brick and they're not white. They can be painted more of a color that blends with brick so that they're not as visual along the building. And that's a typical requirement that we use all the time when we're doing desk reviews for these in other locations.
We can kind of work around that as far as screening. I also would like some parameters as far as what and where I can screen, since I'm already up against the other person's lot. So am I building a 4 or 6 foot fencing to block this unit? There are parameters I do have to keep clearances for the unit as far as its operation. That's 1. 2, does, painting that whatever color, is this part of the historic district where that's an absolute requirement to have that done? Because I'll go ahead and show you other homes that have this type of gutter type of unit to keep things neat and tidy.
I mean, the white, although, it matches the gutters and it matches the windows and all the trim on the house. I understand what you're saying, but.
Like, I had an installation done, again, I'm gonna refer back to mine. My house is white. The conduit there was off-white. It wasn't the same color, so. But building safety handles what they deem as adequate screening. And we can certainly send that off to have them you know, make a determination on what's proper screening, I'm okay with that. But, you know, that is part of the code to screen it, and building safety has weighed in on that and has the authority to that, but
Okay, so who's building safety?
the people you applied to put this installation.
Okay. So I'm remote for that process. I'm salesman installer.
Okay,
My office deals with all that.
okay, so we're,
Practical sense.
yeah, so there was a building permit that has to be applied for to do
Right.
this,
Yeah.
right? So part of that, they may have already told you that this needs to be screened, or whoever's handling that whole. I actually handled the application process myself, so other applicants don't, so, yeah, that's,
I mean, from my perspective, I think the major waiver should be granted. I think from their perspective, you contact building safety, have them come out and tell them, how do you want me to screen this? When you're both on the same page, do what it is that's recommended, whether it be a bush, fence.
and I'm agreeing with you that screening is required by, I'm
Yeah.
not disagreeing
No,
with that. I'm just saying that building safety has.
Because they also realize the mechanical equipment's how they work, whether they overheat.
you know,
They
in
have,
justification for your findings, there should be adequate screening in compliance with the code. I mean, that's part of your findings.
And that's fine, I mean, but
Issuing it in a location that's typically not an allowed location.
so you want us to make a decision now? I mean, I could say, put a bush to the left of the unit, and I would be happy with that screening.
No, I think if you said screening per the code and as approved by BSD, that's fine, but you make that part of your findings.
Oh, well, I'm fine. Yeah, well, that's what we're saying.
And I just think that might be redundant because that's part of the process anyway, part of building safety process, but we'll.
I agree, yeah, that's what they're gonna do based on the manufacturer recommendations of the unit.
So how does the board feel about the major waiver request? Is it,
I'm fine if we include that language, yeah.
okay? I don't think it adversely detracts from the T3 end zone myself having this installation done, so that's how I feel. I agree. Rest of the board agree with that? Okay, do we get into secret for this too? Yep, does it, you have anything else?
Type 2.
Yeah, but do you have anything else before we move into secret? Anybody have any other questions? Okay. All right, so under secret, it's a type 2 action, so no further review of the board is required. At this time, I will make a motion that we approve the major waiver request for item number 6. And so what do you have in there for conditions?
Well, findings.
Findings.
Which would be reasoning for it is that the egress, you need access to the unit. That there's no other location available, suitably available, in character with the neighborhood, it's not impacting, and that screening be provided for the code by BSD.
Okay. So that is a motion. Do I have a second on that? Second by Andrew. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, thank you folks.
Good night.
Great.
Number 8.
Back to old business. Number 8 is 206 and 208 Flatbush Avenue. It's a site plan / subdivision for multifamily housing with major and minor waiver requests. Its section block of lot is 48.74-3-24 and 48.74-3-19. Seeker determination, transect zone SD-MF, Ward 6. Kingston Housing Authority is the owner. Hello, everybody. Get enough chairs for everybody? Come on, you can bring some chairs up here. Yeah, we're going to sit at whoever's going to start. We're going to have some. Yeah. You can introduce your team again.
Hi there.
How are you?
Good.
I'm Robert Wilcox. I'm the Executive Director of Kingston Housing Authority, and I just want to first say thank you for coming out to the site and seeing our preliminary plans. We thank you for inviting us to your meetings and with your comments and suggestions. For last month, we have been looking at our renderings and making sure that we heard, you understand we heard you. I'm gonna introduce my team. We got Brian, we have John first, we have John Matteo, we have Joel Mounty. Don't want to chop that up. But we're gonna let John take over and give you some more insight on our rendering.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, and we have Dan Biggs over here as well.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dan.
Landscape architect. Thanks, everybody, good to see you. I know you have a long night already, and we'll try to make a brief presentation, but we really want to focus primarily on, honestly, on the renderings and give you a sense of what we think the building is going to look like.
Kyla's putting them up on the screen.
Yeah. I think that what we'll try to do, and we're sensitive to a couple of issues that come out of the last couple of board meetings. One is a concern about building height and impact on the surrounding area. And also the issue of the waivers that we're asking for. John first is going to address that, but we think we've made significant improvements in terms of addressing those issues. I'm going to ask Brian to start and talk from a civil engineering point of view, some of the things that we've looked at, a couple of options. Then we're going to have Mansu talk about the renderings, and Dan can talk about the landscape plan. The other thing that we know that you've asked for is in the works now, which is the traffic report. We'll have that for the January meeting. I don't want to get too far over our skis, but we think the traffic report is going to support the project that you have before you tonight. So Brian, do you want to talk just a little bit about some of the options that we've looked at?
Yes. Hi, everyone. While we were in the field meeting, we had talked about that we were going to lower the building. So I did lower the building by 2.5 feet to balance the cuts and fills. So it doesn't have any really exported materials or imported materials that aren't building materials. The last meeting, there was comment about maybe that we should look at putting the building over here and the parking over here. We did look at that. There's a lot of challenges with that because the grading, this is very steep up here. Putting the grading and the parking lot up high and the building down low means that you come in kind of the second story of the building, and then the back of the building is really the front of the building. So I think from everything we looked at, the biggest problem was the circulation, having adequate fire protection and circulation for emergency vehicles. Because once it's here, it's got to slide down this way. It's kind of blocked off from any access from this entrance here. We do want to maintain emergency entrance to the property at this location, and this is about on grade. So we have lowered the building 2 feet. We lowered the wall by about 3 feet or 3.5 feet, so that it's now 11.5 to 12 feet instead of 15. So that was a concern that everyone expressed as well. Those are the major changes. We introduced landscaping in here. You can see this is the landscaping plan. And we talked about screening along the views from here. We talked about this area here being outdoor area for reading, playing, relaxing, as opposed to back here where the traffic volume causes a lot of noise. This is a gathering area in a case of an event, like the whole place wants to have a party, that makes sense. But for an individual to enjoy quiet, we think this is a better area because it's blocked from any road noise by the building. The existing house is located here. You are concerned about the height of the building against that. And so the top floor of the building has been removed back one apartment, so that this is a setback now. So you can't see the height of the building from directly under it, looking up at it. And Mancha will get into it with the renderings, you'll see that. So those were the major issues that were talked about. We did maintain the generator location here. We have a wall and some screening around it. Those are the substantive changes that we submitted in the current plan that you have in your packet. Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is we did look at actually dropping the building even further, but there's some issues with that, some technical issues. There's an easement that made that not as productive as it could drop as possible.
Utility easement.
Yeah, the utility easement. Mancha, do you want to talk a little bit about?
Yeah, sure.
And again, this is a 4-story, 82-unit building that we're proposing.
So this is an aerial view of the site. Okay, so this is the new construction building. Existing building is 2 stories. This is a 4-story. And here you can see the 3-story setback next to the adjacent property. And these are the 6 views that we're going to see now. Can you go to the next slide, please? Where's touch? Can you touch it?
No, it's me, it's just a little delayed
Okay.
when I.
So this is the same views, but from the opposite side. You can see down Flatbush, the screening, the landscaping that I think that Dan will talk about. This is the first view. So coming down Flatbush Avenue, you'll see that the height of the building is going to be where this is. So this is the 4-story, and the 3rd story you don't really see in this view, but as you turn toward, into the street, you'll turn away from it, so it won't be too much into the windows, as you think, because of the screening will also help that.
So the trees along the street there are.
Yeah, jump in.
Are the trees along the street there are the existing?
These are,
what
yes.
You're looking at as the existing vegetation, and then beyond where the curb is, that's the new vegetation.
Yes, so down here, this is a hillside. This drops down to obviously the first floor. This is a mixture mostly of evergreens. It provides a long-term evergreen wall per se. We looked at the possibility of fencing this area. Challenging there, it would be more of a blocking of it. This is more to shield the lights likely into the residences, but also provide that green kind of buffer between the roadway and the building facade. This is obviously not the edge. We did locate the plantings away from the guide rail enough that if we were to do a future project we discussed along this guide rail, that we would not have to replace any of those trees or plantings along that side.
You just mentioned a good point, and this probably goes to you. We did talk when we were in the field about the headlights of vehicles coming down the street and going into the residence. Is there any lighting on the building that could be reverse impact to traffic coming down the street? Is there any proposed lighting around
Currently,
the
there isn't
building?
any exterior lighting proposed. I think we can discuss that, but I think the lighting in the areas that are gonna have people outside, so the community center.
It'll be lower.
Will be much lower.
Okay.
It
All right.
won't be.
Okay, scale, not
Only
the
sit
side.
down, yeah, it won't be reflected back into the street.
Okay.
Next slide.
All right.
Okay, this is up Penn Court. So coming up, you see the neighboring property here, and then you see the step back. So this is the house or the shed, and then this is the step back, and then the rest of the building you can see there. You can also see part of Colonial Gardens here, and then the slope here, and then this is the retaining wall and parking area.
Is it just the way the rendering is, or is the wall actually sloping? Or is it going to be,
We presented it to be like a step back wall, but
so it's going to
we
be,
can adjust,
it'll be
Like a
sloping
stack,
out?
yeah.
Okay.
It's really nice. I didn't imagine it would have that nice of a landscape.
Yeah, and if you visualize what's there now, yeah, it's definitely an improvement to not only the condition, but it's also, that hill is a insurance nightmare.
Yeah.
And so the trees that are rendered here are existing trees that are not being removed even to the rear there?
Yeah, so the trees that are existing, we didn't remove any unless they were on the exact property. We
Okay,
kept everything as it is existing, and then there's landscaping, which is filled in everywhere.
right, so there's some pretty large ones in the back.
So like this is existing, right back here are the existing. There's a couple that were in the footprint of that, the parking area. These are proposed here, back here and here at Evergreen, and that's proposed as well. We did include plantings in the general parking area to soften the parking stalls, to be also the idea of the count there, to have a tree here and then offset it as on the other side. So it is planting to also get a little green to not being so hard edge between the existing and the new facility.
Next slide, please. Now, this is the opposite side, so going up Flatbush Avenue, the neighboring property, and then you see the step back, and then also the additional screening.
Yeah, so on this side, we're pretty close, we're about within 15 feet of the property line. So we're fairly limited on plantings, but we thought of having an evergreen buffer. And this actually wraps around the back side of that corner of the house back here. But there's an old kind of rusted fence that would be replaced. It's currently on the property of the site. That would be replaced in kind. That kind of comes out. And there's actually a overhead utility line that comes right here to the side of the house, which limits any plantings on the street side of where this tree terminates. So that's one reason why you don't see more vegetation kind of encroaching, and also to not make it so tunnelish. You know, we want to think about the edge, how the public side relates to the building, and having a relationship to be a friendly presence, not just a block over blocking the building or whatever's behind it.
And what is all the purple plants? Is that all new shrubbery coming up on the other side of the guardrail?
Sorry, I'm looking back.
This here, so this is proposed landscaping here. So we have evergreen mass, we have some flowering ornamental trees on the hillside as well. So we take the green more to, the green shield is here coming down, and then we added a massing there of some ornamentals too, to give a little more color to, not just be a solid green like arborvitae wall, which people would write to. Well, it's a little more context sensitive.
Because these came in today, we really haven't had a lot of time to take a look at them. So one thing I'm just gonna say or recommend that you do is take a look at the landscaping section in the form-based code and just make sure that you're following along and compliant with the requirements that are in place in that site design section of the code, all right?
We're also working with the city forester on the trees removed to be provided in terms of that count.
Right.
I haven't talked to her for your.
Yeah, I did send him a copy of the concept plan, but obviously it didn't spell out the species types and numbers and stuff like that, so I'm sure he'll want to follow up with you, or you can follow up with him, you have his contact information. So that would be a good move as well. Yep.
Next slide.
All right.
This is one of my favorite views, I think. You see this view from Penn Court, you're kind of like, further back in Penn Court, the pathway. So we took a view from here. You see the step back of the building, almost like an elevation of the building on one side. And then the proposed wall, you can see how it kind of separates the space, and it also kind of includes everybody from, it's very inclusive of the both sides of the wall. The building, I forgot to mention, it's not just a linear shape, it's more of like there's a break in the building to kind of ease the look of it. So you'll see one side here, and then the entrance sort of breaks, and then it turns on that side. It's just sort of the shape of the building.
Are those colors representative of what you're looking for in a final color scheme? Or is that just?
It's close, and we can play with it, depending on.
We like it, but sure,
we like it, yeah.
the softness of it was the thought when we were putting it together.
It looks really nice on the green. It's bright.
Yeah, the bit of contrast with that.
And different material with the same color, right?
Anything else?
One thing I didn't see on the renderings, and I know we talked about too, at the site visit, were like your HVAC. and you were saying that they're gonna be individual units, and each one is gonna have their own individual units, something along the lines that you might see in a hotel, kind of motel situation. So from the outside, are they gonna have any visual impact from the outside?
Yeah,
They will have vents on
they're gonna have a
screen.
louver, they're not reflected here because I think when we decide and it's gonna
Okay,
be reflected in
But
the.
it will be a heat pump sort of system, which will be individual each unit with some venting to the outside. Some of the units come small now, but no plan for condensers on the roof.
so each unit is gonna have a separate condenser?
No, it's built into the heat pump unit itself.
Okay, one larger one.
So in regards to the windows, you'll see a vent, because there'll be a unit for that.
Could be part of
It'll be flush with the,
Yeah, I just want to know if there's what you're gonna see from the outside, if any.
Does
Like
it, does
we
it
just saw
protrude from the
in
face?
comics with the-
no, it's a louver, it sits inside and there's a louver underneath the window.
It could be the one window unit, or it could be right below it. That's how it lays out, but yes.
The only thing that I would mention as well on this slide is that Dan and his team is going to be doing, we're going to be renovating Colonial Gardens. And as part of that, Dan and his team is going to be working on a landscape plan for Colonial Gardens. It doesn't come before this board, but I just wanted to give you context that we're going to elevate the landscaping for that development, and it's going to be consistent with what you're seeing here.
Yeah, this looks just grass.
Next slide.
Yeah, next time. I think you skipped one? No? Oh, sorry. So this is the next view. This is from the opposite side. You'll see the break in the building where the entrance is and then the rest of the building. This is the shared sort of parking from the school and then the parking here. And then this is in the next slide, you can see the wall on this side, but this is the area where Colonial Gardens is. And then there's also, so you see like the wall coming down here, there's a little pathway. And then this is the entrance that we have proposed.
Entrance focal area, and then you mentioned the seating area. So we thought about activity spaces and what is a congregation area. Knowing this is a senior population, they want contemplative spaces, they want quiet spaces, but also the idea that they can walk around. So you can walk almost around the entire perimeter of the building. Some of it's sections in grass, but here would be little seating areas. And as people like to watch people, that they will probably get a lot of use to be watching who's pulling in, who's going out, and where the pickup or drop off areas. So kind of a little nook here and then a little nook down here. We thought about possibly having the bench style with a table as in a chess table. So built into table could be a little chess board mapped out. People can bring their chess pieces. They want to play chess or have a little gathering. So you talk about activities, it's hard for seniors, not going to play ping pong or anything, but they could have a little activity space there where they could congregate and connect at the front of the building just to make that space a little more energized.
Those are the renders.
I know that we're focusing on the outside and it's so nice to be able to see all the different perspectives. Just a question, do you have any idea from the inside looking out of some of the windows, if some of that is gonna be like, not just individual residence windows, but lighting and like windows as they're, going to the building to be able to look out and see some of the landscape? Like, or is it all are all the windows kind of around the units themselves?
So you're asking if all the windows are in the apartments, or is there any in the public spaces?
Right.
I believe what you're asking.
Yeah.
Is there anything at the end of the halls?
End of the hall, not at the moment, but we can take a look at it.
Yeah, like we see the stairwell. You just want to see as you walk in the hall, you can see through it.
My grandmother lived in a place like this, and it was really good for her. And one of the things that she couldn't do is get outside as much as she wanted to.
Right.
But one of the things that she enjoyed doing was looking out the windows, but not just in her space. It was in different like ends of hallways and things like that, because the idea is that like the connectivity to the other different age demographics and all of this beautiful landscaping that you're putting in. It just made me think of that.
If we go forward one more slide.
the front entry, the units are around the entry, so there's a lobby on every floor. So these
So
windows
those all
here,
work out, yeah.
these will all look out. I think from here, the units start, and from here, the unit starts, so all of these windows are up the
Public facing.
Public facing, yeah.
And then winter too, you know?
Winter, exactly, yeah. Yeah.
And the back
And
side.
they're on the front, not the back side, because you're just looking at Flatbush, can't really see
Right.
much, but yeah.
But do you have also windows on the backside where the seating areas in the backside sit in? How's that, is there a connection there at all? I don't know the building.
The seating area, the community center.
Yeah.
So the proposed community center will have like a storefront, and you can walk out the double doors, and then, you know, you can sit in there and then look outside. So you'll have that, but that's just ground floor.
How does,
Good
if
point.
we were to lose a story, how does that affect what you got, what the project for? Is funding at risk for not achieving a certain level of occupancy, or how?
No,
No?
not when it. No,
Well, we lose 20 apartments. And then, of course, the balance of 60 units would be more expensive. So would we lose it? No. Would there be some sort of different agency analysis? Maybe.
I thought you were talking about just the in piece, in.
No, I'm talking about entire.
Oh, entire.
Entire.
Oh, yes.
20
yes.
apartments.
I think,
Yes.
yeah, you know, again, we're sort of sister agencies, okay? So I don't think that the state would say we won't fund it because it's 60 unit. Basically, we'd be at 60, around 60 units, close to 82. I don't think that they would say they wouldn't fund it. The state wants to fund this project. It's important for the state to fund it. However, the state has been the primary driver in trying to encourage the housing authority to provide as many additional affordable housing units as possible. We've looked, as part of this project, we looked at Wiltwick to see, because this project includes what we're calling Penn Court, Colonial Gardens, and Wiltwick. We looked at the other two sites to see if there were possibilities to put additional units there. This site we felt was the best site for it. So will it kill the project? No, it will make it financially more difficult, and the state will be disappointed because the state would like to see 80 units on the site. But the answer to your question is no. It's
So
not.
when you talk about driving up the cost, is that the cost per unit or for the individual renting?
No.
No.
Just building. Development.
Same walls.
Yeah,
same,
you got your infrastructure costs distributed among 60
But
units.
has the state, I mean, what does the state feel like if it's not compliant with the underlying code? I mean, you know, it's not consistent with the code. What is the state, I mean,
I'll be very direct. The state has almost every housing authority in the state looking for these funds. They're looking for cooperation from the city. If the state is going to invest a large portion of funding into this project, they're looking for the city to work with us, not to approve anything that's submitted before you. But if there are variances, if there are waivers, the state is anticipating that you're going to be supporting their efforts to put funds here. If you came back and told us you can't have any additional units, I think then there'd be a problem, okay? If you told us 60 units, I don't think that there would be a problem, but, you know, they're gonna look for you guys to cooperate where you can.
I mean, talking about removing a floor, I have less of a problem with the height over on the left side.
And that is just coming into my mind right now. You spoke to that, right? And so, I mean, if you wanna.
Go for it. I was kind of.
I'm saying, we're thinking the same thing on the steeper part where on the left side, right? If that stays that height.
Yeah.
And then as it comes down Flatbush, step it down, well, I don't know,
So
stepping
at
it
the-
down.
after
Just where the building breaks
after
there.
the midsection?
Yes, I mean, I'm still concerned about how it looks to the properties, the folks who are on the right side right there. And as you come down lower on Flatbush, how it protrudes up.
Can we go back to that Q3?
Q3.
Yeah.
It's not, them stepping down the first section made a huge.
Maybe it was view one, wasn't it?
I'm just saying, from this viewpoint, they stepped it down, the first unit they took off the top roof.
Right.
And that made a big difference.
Yeah, you can even see that difference on the Penn Court side, right where the adjacent property is.
You could probably throw a window in to make it a little bit softer on the end, but it's.
Yeah, we're adding additional windows to the ends, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where the dining area is.
That doesn't show too well there.
But I don't know that taking off the left, you're still gonna see the right. And that's your point.
From that one, yeah.
And you still gotta grant the waiver for the fourth floor on the left, so at that point.
This one, it'll make a difference here.
No, I understand about that. I do.
So
You definitely want a flat roof. You know, I'm just thinking the other roofs in the area and even in the complex are not flat. And I'm just wondering if a different roof style might make a difference.
So then you're
Make
gonna
it taller.
Well, if you, on the step down part, I'm just trying to think.
So can I ask a question? You're asking basically to take off these
Yes.
on this side of that
That's
building.
what we were.
So how many units is on this side? I'm just trying, I hear what you're saying.
That'd be 8 units. This
8
is one-
units.
This is 1 unit, yeah. We took off 1 here. This would be another 8.
And this isn't how, I'm not sure this is how the rest of the board, I'm just asking questions, you know, since we're.
No, I'm just trying to get a
Yeah.
clear understanding.
No, how many units is good, that was.
Yeah, that's.
8 units, yeah.
Yeah.
One bedroom
Be
for,
10
one window for the
units.
bedroom and one for the living room.
You lose 10 units.
Yeah, you probably
Yeah,
go
10
from
total.
82 to about
'Cause-
70.
right.
Which still is
Would be
You have
great.
significant.
70 some, you have 72.
I think our main concern is what we're trying to project is that we want to get as many units as we
Yeah.
can.
Oh, I know,
in there.
I recognize that.
Could you go higher on one side? So high that's. or is that-
You want to go 5?
Just go higher on the other side.
You could,
I mean, it's hidden.
the building system, the way it is
You're,
maxed
like,
out.
the
it's
trees
fine.
are on that one side, it really kind of would be so tucked behind anyway.
So 5 on this side,
Right.
5 here, and then 4,
Yeah.
and keep that 3rd floor step back.
Yeah,
We get more units.
right, we would get more.
At least another 10.
Right, if we did do a
11
fifth floor, it
9
would
here. yeah.
give you, yeah.
We looked at you too.
You're in the
More
trees
units.
anyway. And have the rest of your-
We could,
Right.
we come back in January and show
Actually,
that.
it goes- we go back to view 2.
If it means
Okay,
that
you have
people
your two
get
again.
Could do that.
and-
That's what I might.
Even this view here,
Hours.
like,
You know,
That's the only thing.
Fix me
we've
so
dropped the
focused.
one.
Well,
Not
maybe
two,
two
it's
is
like-
what
I have a suggestion, while we're all sort of working through this. If
great,
this-
try 3.
Sue, I've got a suggestion. I don't know if this makes sense to the board, but we could come back in January, okay, and show you what that would look like if we just took off what we were talking about here.
Yeah.
And then also show you the alternative if we took that off and added at the other end, okay? To give you an idea what that looks like. I think either way, we could make the project work. I think, again, we want to be as direct as we can with you guys. We know you can't give us an approval until we go through the process. You need the traffic report, you need public comment, all the rest of it. But if we could get some sense from you in January, it's very important for us to go back to the state and say, listen, we're in the planning board process, we made some revisions, we think we're on the right track. We need to hold our place in the state funding queue. Okay, if we lose that, then we're going to wind up being behind a lot of the housing authorities. So we can come back to you in January, show you what those alternatives are. I think both could work for us, okay? And it really depends on sort of your direction, what you're comfortable with.
Did you say you're putting windows on that end?
On the end, yeah.
So
One in the center.
in the center.
Because in the proposed plan, that's where the dining area, kitchen area will be, so that window will like.
So that's gonna be on the first floor and the second floor.
All the floors.
But you're also gonna put it up above where the step is, or is that stained brick?
That's staying.
So you just put it on the first and second there, okay.
It's like a hardy plank, it's softer material.
That would make a big difference on this end too.
Yeah.
The other end is the same thing, it's just a blank wall.
Same,
Is there any windows going?
The same conditions.
Okay, so they're just not
Yeah,
shown.
they're not in,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
that was like a.
That will make, I think
Two
that will
days
make a
ago.
difference too. Yeah, yep. Okay.
Is the 5 stories really being considered? Sue, is the 5 stories really a thought?
Matt comes
I-
in.
It's fine
I'll
with
ask
me,
the
but-
board, I mean, it was brought up, I obviously.
If you're gonna make a waiver to go 4, what's the difference of going 5? If it includes that much more housing?
Well, I think it will,
Yeah, but-
yeah, the visual would have to be
5.
shown.
Right.
and
I'd rather stick
I
with the
would-
current plan at
At
4 than go
at
5
4.
on the end. If they soften that up, because that doesn't look, from Flatbush, that doesn't look bad,
Okay,
especially with the height of the hill.
so you have these renderings, so my suggestion would be revise these renderings to show the softening with the windows that would be actually in place, so that it's more true to form. And then if you could just do a separate rendering,
Yeah.
and not, you don't have to do it, I don't think, from all of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
vantage points, but just from a couple of key ones that will show the 3 on the one end, and then maybe an elevated on the other end.
Elevated 4, elevated 5, just to be clear.
5.
I mean, you look at 5 and you elevate, you put a 5th floor, that's,
I think that's gonna be, yeah, I think that's gonna be visually,
I'd rather
I'd
have,
say the
I'd
whole
rather
4.
keep that.
You know, when you're setback. Now, just give you something in mind, the existing building there with mansard is pushing over 3 stories.
right.
So you're really not increasing that much, when you think about
Yeah.
maybe 8 feet, 9 feet.
That's
What
why I
you
was
see now.
thinking maybe different roof line, you might be able to, I don't know.
Well, the
but-
mansard, of course, makes it taller. Anything you
Yeah.
do up at peak or whatever, it's gonna be taller,
But it could be some usable space, maybe.
maybe.
And that's-
Let us think about that.
I don't want to hold up your project. I mean, that's not, that's not.
And I don't want to keep it Flatbush because you already have that brick condition in the existing housing authority.
Yeah.
You have something totally different, it's clean, that's architecturally what you're supposed to do. Not-
So we're adding a 5th floor here.
I don't.
What are we designing?
And just to give some context,
Was that tongue in cheek thing you had there?
Well, why don't you just take a poll right now, because there's no sense in wasting the money doing it.
The only reason why I brought it up was because I think that it's important to keep in mind, like, we want to keep as many units as possible, and if the challenge exists to try and create, you know, a code that it fits into aesthetics, fits the neighborhood, I think that's great. I would hate to see, if it would be like the last resort to lose units, if there was a possibility
Yeah,
to keep
I
as
get it.
many as we possibly can correctly. It was just what, I mean,
Well, why don't we just, cool.
like a penthouse, you know?
I got you. But as far as the renderings, I mean, does this look good to you like this?
As we've talked through it, this looks good, and I think stepping down in the front with the 4th floor made a huge difference.
Should they step down a penny more, do you think, or is that good?
No, I think that's good. I think if they could do something on the end with some windows and stuff, just to soften a little bit, that would be better. And it wouldn't look like a commercial building, it would look,
So maybe,
which is what he said he was going to do.
maybe looking at taking the 4th floor off the end as one rendering, and then
They did
also,
that.
but also taking this rendering and softening, maybe giving you a couple, I mean, I think you want to see a couple options before you make a final
Take
decision.
that whole 4th, just on a render when they come here next month. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Take that.
And
on
it's
the- on
just
this
have,
part.
just have the options there so you can visualize
Just
it.
take this,
Right.
just take this off.
And see what
And
it
leave that.
is.
So let's see what that looks like.
Then you talk about it. I mean, you don't have the full board here either, so it's difficult tonight.
But you do, I mean, again, we don't want to hold up the project, but I think that from how some of the discussions have been circulating here, this is a big, you know, it's a big issue. And then it's part of the new code that we're still cutting our teeth on, as you say, you know, so it's,
No, and all these suggestions, we think collectively that we're making a better product, okay? And we can come back to you, give you some options. Again, as long as we can get some sense in January that we're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay, we're targeted for an October.
And I think we
closing.
are moving in that
Yeah,
direction.
and
You know.
we're feeling that. And again, if there's resistance, better to tell us now than later.
I mean, from my perspective, I think the landscaping and showing the wall and the wall being stepped back or an angle, whatever it is, made a huge difference with the
Yes.
site
Yeah.
in conceptualizing it.
It did, agreed.
And I also think taking those two units off on the end brought it down a little bit more into the residential section that you see on Flatbush, so that'd be a big difference.
How many apartments are in the present
32,
32? So we're more than double the size.
yes.
Or apartments.
Yes.
And they're all one bedrooms. Right now, they're currently studios. So you also have to understand that what I'm seeing on a daily in my daily walk here in Kingston is that we have a lot of seniors that are living out of their cars. I just had to house one that's moving in with a son, because she's living out of her car, because she can't afford to rent. So adding as many units as we can is imperative.
And one bedroom's quality over studio, obviously.
Definitely.
When you
Just mentally.
fill vacancies, do you look at the host community as a priority base for occupancy residency?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're gonna find the majority of people are gonna be,
Just a question.
either the vast majority in all the developments that we've done. You can't prohibit anybody from applying, but the marketing effort is gonna be targeted locally.
That's the first preference. We have several preferences.
What are the Colonial Gardens units? Are they single one family or, excuse me, they one bedroom or two bedroom?
They're 2, 1 and 2s. We have some 3. We have family units there.
And they'll all be renovated, as you know.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering, because if you get all one here and you've got two and two.
Renovated and garden space.
You know, the variation in height also does help with senior. It just, even though it's one community, you sort of have your space in one area. And the way Dan's designing it, it can, you know, all things together, but you certainly have your comfort of your own area for the senior.
Sometimes seniors are like, get the kids out of here.
And I'm not seeing in the rendering that there's a staircase going from the upper parking down to the lower, so that's.
It's behind you, yeah, it's just there.
If you can go to view 6, you can see it a little bit, I think.
We're gonna have a fire hall.
I think a slide would be more fun.
You can cut, sorry, I put the title here, but it's just here,
Okay.
yeah.
So they're still connected.
Right. Right.
This really helps, thank you.
Yeah, we've got some more work to do, but we appreciate your efforts and.
No, we appreciate you.
I just one procedural question regarding SECRA. Were you guys able to circulate your intent for lead agency? What date was that? Have you heard back? Has the 30 days elapsed?
We did, I don't know, have we heard back from anybody?
We heard back from Chief Ray.
Yeah.
I believe that's it, but the 30 days,
It
it
doesn't-
was,
yeah,
it's not- it was a
the
full
day
30 days to
after
today.
Okay, so maybe
our
something
last
next
meeting.
month, for January would be able. Perfect.
Right. Okay, we'll see you next meeting.
All right, thank you both.
Again, thank you for your time.
All right, so at this time, I'll make a motion that we table item number 8, second by Robert Jacobson. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
The date you're into, is that?
That 80, minus the 2 on that.
80.
Really, he did say it. That's what I'm getting.
Okay.
We're going to item number 9 now, finally. We're in new business. Item number 9 is 105 Beale Street. Site plan for construction of 6 units. A 6-unit small multiplex on separate parcels facing West Union Street. Section of block and lot is 56.43-2-25, secret determination. Coastal consistency determination, transect T5N, Rondout Historic District, Heritage Area, the LWRP. Ward 8 of Beale Street Rentals Incorporated is the owner, and West Union Street Rentals LLC is the applicant.
And actually, I just want to correct that for the record. It's actually West U Street. They were not allowed to use the word union in their name, so it's just West U Street Rentals LLC.
Ah.
So.
Okay.
Thank you.
And are we doing a subdivision?
We are going to be doing a subdivision.
Okay.
Yep.
We don't have.
And my name's Robin Gullickson, and I'm with
Okay.
Foundry Architecture.
Thank you.
Yep.
We're going to have some
So
shortly.
the owners have a parcel that stretches from Beale Street to West Union Street. They want to, as we mentioned, do a subdivision and create a lot where they can have a multifamily dwelling. At this stage, we've done multiple schematic designs. We've met with Suzanne and Kyla, and yeah, just I'm hoping I'll have a look, or is there anything you want me to walk you through? You have any questions?
So, a couple things. Kyle and I were talking about this earlier today, and we're looking at this building type as a stacked flat.
Yeah, we were talking about stacked flats or a small multiplex,
Right, but
which
we're
made the most
going
sense.
with the stacked flat because it does allow the ground the on-grade entry.
Okay.
With a garden style frontage.
Okay.
So that's garden wall frontage, so that's what we're looking at. So it basically, this is a waiver-free application.
Yeah. We did our best. We really did our best.
They really did. They did. I commend them because I think that they really looked at the code, and designed a building that meets the code compliance. Yeah. It's,
Yeah, so.
What?
Bring it.
Yeah, I guess, do you want to see, so I guess you could start, this is the site, does everyone know where it is?
Yep, so yeah, Beale Street is on the right here, West Union's on the left. The existing apartment building, so the owners actually obviously own that existing apartment building. They are very interested in doing this very green and sustainable. That's what we do at Foundry Architecture. ICF construction, high insulation, good air sealing, good mechanicals. It'll be a healthy building. It'll be all electric, Energy Star rated appliances, ERV, energy recovery ventilation, heat pump, heating and cooling. Yeah, the majority of the apartments we tried to get are 2-bedroom apartments. We do have one that will be a 1-bedroom apartment, and that is going to be ADA compliant on the first floor. And so that's all. And again, as she mentioned, the entry will be right at grade, so that person can have. Can you bring up that first floor plan, please? Sure. And I guess that would be, SD1. So the ADA unit would have just 1 bedroom. They would have the required bulk storage and laundry in their unit, as well as an ADA bathroom. The other units are basically this similar layout, but they would have the 2nd bedroom, and the bulk storage would be in the basement for all of the units. The owners have also expressed an interest in having a pet grooming accommodation in the basement. Right now, we've got this as a slab. Because we were able to fit most of our mechanicals and everything that we needed in half of the basement. But that could, depending on if they wanted to have more storage, if we needed anything else, we could use that. But it seems like the best, highest and best use of that space. It is 3 levels. We do have access to the rooftop. So there could potentially be a rooftop amenity for the people that would live here. The owners have also intend to make I believe 2 of the units would be affordable units, and the other 4 would not be, and again, the one ADA compliant, unit.
We do it for garbage.
We have a garbage area in the back. Actually, I think that might be on the site plan that we were looking at. SP1, I think that was the last one. Yeah, so there's an area, because we do need to have egress for the existing apartments. We do have a 4-foot egress area. This building right here on the property line is a brick building that comes right to the edge of the property line. So we need to keep that lane open for egress, and there would be garbage in the back. We do have freestanding mailboxes out in the front. And we ended up pushing the building back a little bit so we could have that kind of garden frontage in the front, and it wouldn't be like right up on the street, be a little bit back.
So when you come back for a subdivision, you're gonna have to have all the cross easements and everything shown.
Correct. And that'll be with bringing ROs, so probably do that. We just want to make sure we were on the right track, and where we wanted that property line to be up far back, we wanted to push it.
In this.
This gonna be a walk up or you're gonna have an elevator?
Yeah, it'll be a walk up, no elevator. That's why the ADA unit is on the ground level.
Yes.
And all the other amenities for the other tenants that would be in the basement, it's gonna be right in their apartments. They don't, they're not asking wanting for anything.
Space and
Self-contained.
lot is not large enough to require public open space.
So
Good.
that's where I was going
Right.
with it. I just want to make sure.
So they do need a couple of things. They do, and she knows that obviously we talked about subdivision, but also landmarks preservation. This is in a historic district. So I would strongly encourage you to file that application ASAP. The deadline is this week, Thursday. So, yeah, so we want to make sure you get on their January agenda.
Okay.
And I mean, you have the plans basically all done. It's just putting the application in and getting, that's in our office as well. So, okay, so we want to encourage you to get there. This would have to be referred to Recreation Commission. So I think we should make that referral so that we have their feedback in January as well. Another thing that's new for this board is when the Heritage Area Commission was disbanded and their duties were blended basically to our staff level or Landmarks Preservation Commission. They also did what they call the Coastal Consistency Review under the Local Waterfront Revitalization Program. That review has been, and authority has been transferred to the planning board. So you will be doing a coastal consistency review. And that is looking at this project for consistency with all of the policies, and there are many of them in the LWRP. So we have a drafted form that we were using with the HAC. We're going to use that form going forward with you. And because it's a new thing, we thought that it would be good, actually Kyla came up with the idea, I'll give her the credit, to have a board training session in early January. And we would cover LWRP coastal consistency. And we're also going to try and get somebody here to talk about waivers so that the board has a little bit more information and on reviewing the waivers, since we are seeing a lot of them coming forward. Okay. So that was something we wanted you to think about. Tonight, we'll be looking to schedule something. I don't know what your calendars look like, but after the new year, before our next meeting, we thought it would be a good training session that you would get credit for. There's an hour knocked off, right? Okay.
Is that our back date?
Huh?
Is that our back date, or is that for 2025?
That's for 2025, sorry. Still need to fill up your 2024s. Okay, and this does need to be referred to the county planning board. So one of the things that I don't, maybe Robin, you can talk about, have you thought about the stormwater?
We talked with Bernier and Larios, and we actually reached out to the city engineers as well. Obviously, I'm sure you know, they prefer for people not to tap into that system as it's already overburdened. However, this property is currently packed with gravel, which is considered by the DEC to be impermeable anyway. So I was talking with Dennis Larios, and he was saying, you know, it's already, most of the water is probably already running into the sewer that's right in front. There's a grate right in front of it. Anyway, and that the increase would be minimal. And he looked at the property, he said he didn't really see any way that we could provide stormwater runoff, in his opinion. He was gonna draft a letter to that, he has not
Okay,
yet.
so that's what I was
we
gonna
can bring that
suggest,
up.
he should draft a letter, and, if he sends it to our office and copies John on that,
Okay.
because John is the
Yep.
individual that would be able to grant, the deviation from the norm there, okay? Is the grate going to a combined system or a dedicated storm system?
I believe it was dedicated one.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Somebody
Somebody
Because I
sent me
don't
a
think John would
visual
even
of it.
allow it to go to a combined
I
system.
think it's a dedicated
Okay.
one,
All
yeah.
right, good.
Yeah, they sent me, you know, the picture with the little green lines and the blue lines. And
Yeah,
that's
okay.
right in front of the property, yeah. I don't
Okay.
know if it's, oh yeah, it's in the pictures. It's literally like right here. And you can see all the gravel from the compacted gravel, this is it. It kind of runs right to there anyway already. So yeah, that's the parking area.
And so the other thing, I know we talked about this when we met, is the handicap parking, even though the code does not require you to provide on-site parking. The code does say that when you have 4 or more units, there needs to be a handicap parking space. Have you looked, in the neighborhood to identify any?
The owner does believe that there is one, and I did a brief search, but I don't have that nailed down, but he feels confident that there is one right down the street. I think that there was, some provisions for that, but I will confirm that.
Yeah, particularly if you're looking at developing a unit, you know, really that will be occupied by a handicapped individual, it would be good to have something nearby.
Got it. Will do.
So it's not in our notes, but I'm just thinking about it now. You're going to close off that entry and create a real sidewalk, real curb, right? I mean.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it'll be
I don't know
nice.
what
It'll be
the
nice.
sidewalk situation is on either side of that, but at least that.
I believe, I mean, obviously this construction's done now. Yeah, that's a great question.
Will she
Have
be
to
able,
look.
they be able to tap into the repository? Bluestone?
Yeah. Oh, I don't, yeah, I don't know. if that
Yeah,
falls
but
into
you're
the
in a historic district, so bluestone is the required sidewalk material.
Oh, okay.
The city does have a bluestone bank. Typically, you can apply for, bluestone, but typically they're not in the business to give it for entire lengths. It's there to, like, if there's 2 or 3 pieces missing, it's to fill in those places where the stone is either missing or it's so deteriorated that it's in such poor condition, it can't be.
I would say some of the bluestone was taken from that spot to put the repository.
There might be, who knows, if you take some of that earth out, there might be stone underneath there too.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to, we'll determine that. Okay.
We'll find out from DPW how much they can park bed for that.
Will do, thank you. Okay.
I think there's a handicap spot on that hill in front of that yellow building, which is, I believe, a church.
It is.
Yeah.
I can tell you there's a handicap, because I was parked in front of it.
Okay.
I looked up, and
Great, so I'll
I was
just-
going to Armadillo, I'm like, oh, I can't park here, that's why the spot's open.
Okay. That's
So
great
we'll
news.
check that box, right?
Yeah, I'm almost certain.
Okay.
Okay.
Still there.
We could probably street view over there and see if there's a handicap.
See, you want me to take a ride down the street?
Yeah, take a ride down the street.
Yeah, there's a hydrant sign.
Yeah, I don't know.
You gotta go down the end of the street, hang a left.
Oh, on
Yeah.
the phone.
Yeah.
With the lighting, any lighting proposed for this?
The exterior lighting will all be night sky friendly, down lighting. There will probably be something, obviously, and we're looking at some kind of a canopy over it, you know, to shed people from the rain when they're coming in. So anything would all be
downlighting. I
Yeah.
understand that it
To
can't,
the right,
um,
to the right, Carla.
go out beyond the property line, so that it will be compliant to that.
Front of that blue house.
Oh.
Back down.
Go down the hill.
I know. Oh, that's,
Driving
the one that came for planning board.
Mm-hmm. Right where those cars are.
Oh,
Yeah.
yep, there it is. Boom. Okay, great. Handicap on Home Street.
There you go.
Thank you.
I think that's handicap.
It's 20 minutes though. Is it?
No, it's got a handicap thing on. Pick up and drop off only to the left. And then it's got a handicap stand sign.
Yeah, so that's for handicap pickup and drop off.
Okay.
Oh, so that's not parking.
It's for the church, no. It's
Okay.
20-minute parking.
But it's handicap parking, right?
Yeah, but a resident is not gonna go 20 minutes.
What does the front on the viewer look like?
Interesting.
I can't even picture it.
I have a picture of the Beale Street, or yeah, you could just navigate over there.
The building to the left of Armadillo.
No, it's farther.
That, right? Oh.
Is this one? Mhm. Yeah,
I was behind that.
that's it.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's us.
So is a separate, it's a separate building?
Yep, it'll be a completely separate building.
So do they have the handicap parking or we gotta find it?
They're gonna have to find.
We gotta find the handicap parking.
Yeah, when they need to apply for a street space.
I've noticed them popping up around town.
Is there access from Emil up to this building?
No, but this building goes from property line to property
Okay,
line.
yeah.
If you go on the other side of Armadillo's property, there's a private path that goes through next to B and B.
It sure does.
Hmm.
I remember.
Okay.
We talk, what colors are you gonna have?
Right now, we were thinking, that was very similar to this, like a brick facade. We didn't want to go with, a gable roof because that would make it even taller. We kind of understand that this is on the residential side. So we wanted to take advantage of the full 3 stories that we can without making it overpower, the buildings next door. So right now we have it with brick, and then we did do some studies of, different facade options, like some interesting brickwork on the front to kind of make it fit in, so it's not just like boring, like.
Make it look like it's a little distressed or?
Like it's a little, yeah, like it's a little older, and there's different, all different options. We're not 100% sure yet, but,
Okay.
something fun and unique and, interesting.
Landmarks is obviously gonna be very interested in your architectural exterior treatments and windows.
Yep, and we're, very, happy to comply and make it look good and fit in and be a nice home.
So we have refer to camping, refer to recreation.
Refer to rec and refer to the county, locate handicap, look at the front sidewalk and materials, develop a garden plan. Submit their application to the HLPC. And, yep, stormwater letter.
Okay.
And does it public hearing?
No.
Good.
So we're just gonna table tonight with,
Yeah.
we are referring to county and to rec, right? And, you're just making notes that what some of the marching orders will be.
Yep,
Okay.
yeah. Submit their application to HLPC, coastal forum, we'll do, the work so that we're ready for that.
Okay.
Okay.
Robert Jacobson with a motion to table. Andrew with a second on that. All in favor?
Who seconded?
Andrew.
Andrew? Thank you.
Motion carried. All right. Looking forward to seeing you again.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Take your time.
That they do for that handicap sign. People get add to it, so it takes care of just them.
Okay.
That may be in 24 hours.
Okay.
I'm not saying it is, saying it is.
Well, look, we're gonna look into it.
Well, the beach and drive.
All right, Common Council referral, item number 10 is seeker referral for Common Council intent to seek lead agency in the pipe plan removal project. Wall at North Front Streets, City of Kingston is the applicant owner. I have no interest in this board being anything to do with that, so.
Board is probably only interested in, wouldn't have any board.
Yeah. So I concur to have Common Council be the lead
Is that a
agency.
motion?
Now, I'm going to make a motion that they,
Second.
Robert Jacobson with the second, that they be the lead agency in that process. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Any other business before the board?
Another seeker.
I'm still having trouble with this. Is that on our? I'll look at item number 10 here. This is the, okay. All right. Item number 11 is seek a referral for Common Council intent to seek lead agency in the acquisition of 42 parcels at the corner of Broadway and Garrigan Drive through eminent domain and future redevelopment of those parcels into a mixed-use development. That's a Ron sentence.
Why are we not involved in that?
You are involved, you will be, you will get a site plan.
Yeah, we'll get a site plan.
They want to initiate the eminent domain, and obviously it is a type 1 action. So we are not involved in the eminent domain, but it's a type 1 action, so they are seeking lead agency, so they will be
Just the
doing.
eminent
No,
domain.
they will be doing the entire project, developing the thresholds, doing the findings. You'll be involved with you'll get notification of all the
What
information.
authority do we have if we give up lead agency?
But when it comes to
So
site.
you'll
plan-
still have site plan authority.
Yeah, we'll have,
Would be full authority?
Yeah.
Yeah. I make a motion that we concur with Common Council being the lead agency in this item number 11. You got a second? Robert's not seconding. You? Do we have discussion on this? Do we, for the Common Council to be the lead agency in the acquisition of parcels, the 42 parcels?
Yes, it pertains to the acquisition of parcels. I don't see any legal reason why the planning board would want to be
I don't want
involved in
to.
seeker when it comes to the acquisition. You guys are still gonna do any kind of, planning approval, site plan approval after the
What
fact.
is the seeker involved though for their acquisition?
They are looking at seeker for the entire project.
Is it for the-
They're looking at it for the entire project, because otherwise they would be falling to segmentation, so
That includes site plan too?
they would be looking at, yes, the redevelopment of those parcels as a mixed-use development.
Environmental
So I
review.
believe
But there
they,
isn't a site plan, we didn't have it yet, and
well,
nor is there gonna be.
So site plan wouldn't need another secret review, right? Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know that
We would still have input, right?
Yes,
you will still be
Yeah,
an
we'll be-
involved agency, so
Yeah.
you will be able to make comments.
Carlton, correct? Do they have the ability to do that?
What's that?
I mean, they be running stuff through our planning department with their knowledge on seeker and the rules, or this is gonna go around through the back door?
I believe, and Sarah, maybe you have more knowledge of this too, but I believe that they are engaging a consultant or will be engaging a consultant. They're not doing this in-house.
But we don't know that, and none of that's before us right now.
I don't
Answer
have
the
that in
question.
writing, no, that's.
But
my-
seeker has to be a part of the process to get this.
I understand.
All right.
What happens if we say no? Then what happens? I'm just trying to understand this.
If you object, do you?
Yeah,
do
you can
want
object,
to
and you
serve
can
it?
put down reasons, or you believe that your board it would be more appropriate to
But
perform
then
the
that means
secret
you'll
review.
be initiating secret review for the eminent domain.
Are they
in
usurping
advance.
the authority of this
Like,
board?
Yeah, there's.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to determine. there's a lot of people that aren't necessarily in agreement with everything that's going on. I'm just trying to figure out what's actually going on without circumventing this board and the residents.
Yeah, I mean, typically
Who are
the
trained and
group
sit on
that
this board.
initiates seeker is the first one to receive an application. So they're the first
Yeah,
board.
we don't even have an application.
That's the first action, the eminent domain action. So
And that
that's,
triggers seeker.
they don't have to be lead agency, but if you
But we,
argue, then you're taking that.
We're gonna take that role.
but if we took that role, then we would make sure the seeker was done properly.
But then we're also assuming authority over the rest of the acquisition is done properly.
I understand.
I don't feel like doing that.
I mean,
That's your decision.
you're, coordinated review, you're gonna get all the, you can review all the documents and comment.
Provide, you would, I would.
Yeah, well, every time we provide comments, they just go in around the circle, and so.
But that's the point you were trying to get at. Now we're there, right? That's the.
Well, it's,
Okay, so noted. Are you objecting to, you can vote no.
I'm just having the conversation.
I know, and look,
I like to have the knowledge and understand both sides.
Yes, it's rare that there's a multi-step situation like this where the planning board isn't.
I mean, if this was just for
Typically,
the
the
eminent domain portion, I mean, but this is basically lead agency of the whole.
Right, they can't
We don't even-
separate out the eminent domain process from the development proposal. They cannot do that.
We don't even know if they're getting an outside consultant. I mean, how
I have
are
been
they, how do they?
verbally told that they are engaging an outside consultant. It will not be done in-house. I don't believe, I agree with you. I don't know that the common council within its own would be able to do the
Well,
speaker review. And
One
it
of
would
the
need
easiest arguments that the
someone's-
agency can do is to overturn a seeker if it's insufficient, they didn't actually adequately address.
I understand, but we wouldn't do that. We don't have the power, we don't have the power nor the funds to do that, nor the authority. Just,
This is a tough one, because
I know.
Potentially.
I think it's
understand.
important, I think it's important to be
Adequate
involved in
review of
it,
site
like,
plan and
as
the-
much as we can be.
This is
Be
what's
objective. This is across the street from me.
So,
Well, you guys do have
And
your
I'm-
own budget where in those kind of
But-
circumstances.
I'm
this is
for
You guys,
this is a case where we're gonna have to separate yourself from that.
represent
You know,
your,
'cause-
your board.
but I just wanted to go
But-
correctly and properly, like every other application goes to the city.
Well, the seeker review would have to go correctly and properly, otherwise, as I said, you know.
I know you're.
It depends on who's
We do.
doing it.
I'm confused.
First of all,
Can somebody Sesame Street this very, very briefly? Because I want to make sure
I understand specifically what we're deciding, because I don't right now.
So under seeker, which is the New York State Environmental Review Law, okay, there is a procedure. You first classify an action. When you get an application, you classify an action. So the Common Council has before it an eminent domain proceeding to take the properties on in the round out area for this mixed use development that were undeveloped urban renewal parcels.
Yeah.
Right? Because they have that action before them, they have to address it under seeker. They've classified that as a type 1 action. You can't separate out eminent domain and the development in two separate activities. Like the planning board will get a planning board review, they will get a site plan application. Most likely, you'll get a subdivision application to restructure the properties down there. But we don't have those yet, so we have nothing to initiate a seeker review.
Also, seeker is just limited to environmental impacts, it's not that like they can't go in and do site plan review.
When there is a type 1 action, you have to do a coordinated review, which means that you have, as as the agency that's initiating, you have to identify all of the involved agencies. An involved agency is an agency that makes an authoritative decision. An interested agency might be an agency just making a recommendation.
Come on.
So the county planning board is interested always because you can override their vote. What they say is not a final say. You can override their recommendation, so they're not involved. Planning board's decisions are it. They are a final authority, so they're an involved agency. And so what the council has done is they've started this process because they recognize that it requires a seeker review. They have no choice but to do it as a coordinated review because it's a type 1 action. So they have to identify all the agencies that would potentially have any involvement. So like when we do an involved agency listing, we ask applicants to say, if you think you're gonna go for funding, let us know who that agency is. We try and involve every single agency that we can possibly think of.
And we put the
in
common
that
council.
broad list, and we
Just
all-
agencies
yeah,
too, so.
right. So it's just basically the reverse of that. They're asking us for our consent for them to act as lead agency in the secret.
So
Did I hear
basically,
something? I guess thinking this down the road though, I'm not fully understanding how this would work either, because they're not going to be able to take over the property without completing their seeker review, but in order to do that, they're gonna have to have a full-blown site plan, traffic study.
They're gonna have to develop, yeah, they're gonna have to
But
do
they're
it,
not gonna
right,
have
they're
a
gonna,
developer
basically,
yet.
their consultant is gonna
But
end
they're
up.
not gonna have a developer. They're gonna
They'll
read an
probably do
entire
it
plan.
generically, conceptually do a design plan, they're gonna have to do traffic, they're gonna have to do visual, they're gonna have to do, yeah, I mean, that, they have to do the full seeker review.
But it gives them the full time.
And they will develop thresholds, if they do it under generic, they'll develop
It gives them the
thresholds.
autonomy of who the consultant is, who the interested parties are, and how they guide. the process. Right?
I get what you're saying, right, and I do, but
I think that the reason why I feel that way, honestly, is because I think that is part of the city of Kingston. And I think that the representation of the city of Kingston is represented here. And the objectiveness of the knowledge that we have from the office that we report to essentially gives us that. And I would rather, if I were on the outside looking in, that's what my choice would be for the benefit of people. That's just my feeling.
Well, the common council though is a representation of the wards, of the people that they represent. I mean, Sue is not going to get out of consulting on this.
I have a question. Can the council then refer the review of the site plan to the planning board? I mean, none of us
The
on
site
common.
plan review, common council's not gonna do site plan.
Of course not.
That's gonna
No.
have to,
No,
common council
I would
can-
not want us to do
they
that.
do have options in which there would not necessarily need to be a site plan review. But they can do a site plan review themselves. That is within the jurisdiction of the plan.
but when it gets, by the time it gets to us, seeker will be done. Right?
Yes, yes.
The applicant would still have to, the city of Kingston, is gonna have to still do that type 1, and it's gonna, the full board thing. It's gonna be whether they're here, we're doing it, or they're doing it, it's gonna be done. Right?
It's like when we do a review on a project and say it involves the HLPC, the project would involve a review by the HLPC. If we make the determination, environmental determination under a coordinated review, the HLPC is bound to agree to our determination. And they don't then make their own separate decision.
But now, the seeker review, when that paperwork is all completed, ready to be either accepted or denied or whatever, does it come back? Do we look at it? We don't.
Well, you can comment on it.
That's-
You're involved in the
That's what-
secret
that's-
process, yes.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where your question was, where's our involvement with that? So,
I mean, I would say that as someone who's on the council, understanding that we have limited expertise, that we would rely on the comments that came from the planning board, whatever those comments might be.
and the consultant that you're gonna be hiring too.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the consultant,
Okay.
I mean, who that would be or how that process takes place.
I mean, they still would have to come to us to ask for waivers and all that kind of stuff with the site plan.
Right, all of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they can't, right,
The public council can't give waivers.
no.
Yes.
But again, they can't start the eminent domain process without having seeker be part of it, so.
So if they do the seeker, let's cut all of them. They do the seeker, then we can't reject it. Is that what?
As an involved agency, if they are the lead agency and they make the secret determination, you're bound to that determination. Yes.
So if they do it, we can't question it.
No. You are involved in the
Provide
process.
Input and you're involved in the process.
We may not agree with certain, answers, what boxes they check on on that, so we can certainly weigh in on that.
We can weigh in on it, but ultimately the decision.
We can weigh in on it.
If you're not the lead agency, the decision is with the lead agency.
Thank you for your input.
Thank you for the input. Do what's with this.
Yeah. So,
We just gave them lead agency on dripping down uptown.
But from what I understand, a lot of the property is vacant.
It's vacant, it's been vacant for a long time,
Exactly.
and I'll be honest, I think that something needs to be done with it. I think that it would definitely benefit the community. I think that the people that should make those decisions, I think that if it was my choice, it would be at this table.
And if eminent domain was not part of the review process, most likely it would be. Because they would be filing site plan.
Yeah. It's the eminent domain component that has changed the process.
I mean, there has.
But I guess why is that so, why is eminent domain so important that they need to be lead agency and not defer to us?
Well, then we would be the people doing the
Secret.
eminent domain part. We would be doing everything.
No, we just don't secret.
We don't necessarily have any.
You guys don't take any action.
Action as part of the eminent domain.
But that's the thing, the
proceeding.
reason why it starts with them is because there's nothing before you guys at all. And there won't be anything before you guys.
Well, why don't they just
Unless
have
and
us do the
until-
secret and then they just do the eminent domain part? That's what I don't understand. Why don't they come to us, say, you do secret, send it back to us, and then we'll go do the eminent domain?
They're gonna do that.
That's a legal question. What do you think about that?
No, they don't.
I never.
Yeah, I don't think necessarily, this would be the time in which, yeah, if you guys basically don't consent to them being lead agency, then it can be determined, yeah. But it's not something that they can, like, they're the ones taking an action. They can't necessarily just refer it to an agency that isn't taking action.
Yeah,
Because they're technically the applicant.
It can't be piecemeal, right? Is that
They're technically the
it can't
developer.
be, no, but we don't have an application and we don't have any authority in the eminent domain process, so we don't have anything in front of us.
There's really nothing for us to do then.
No, but you will be reviewing the whole
We
site
will be.
plan.
But the secret will be over, that the site plan is relying on. Correct?
Well, the site plan.
That's my issue. The secret will be complete based on the site plan that's not before us that we don't know anything about, and it'll be done.
They're just addressing the environmental impacts. You will still be addressing what's within the zoning code.
But their environmental impacts,
I
how
know
do
that's
they
where
address the
it's-
secret and environmental impacts for development that they haven't developed yet?
that can be some of the feedback that you get back during this secret process, if you feel like you don't have to.
I don't want to be bound to a seeker on a development that I don't even have before me. As a planning board. That's what I'm having an issue with.
I understand.
But is the seeker gonna be limited in scope about what they can check boxes on? I mean,
You know what this is kind of like, which I didn't really think about until just now, is the business park. Even though the planning board was lead agency for that, right? Originally, or was
Yes.
that common council?
No, planning board was.
But that seeker was adopted in the, what, 90s or something?
Mhm.
I mean, now you're reviewing site plans based on a seeker adoption that took place 30 years ago. But you still get to review and look at the site plans as they come in.
I believe it sounds like they feel that they're more qualified to do the seeker review.
By the time this gets through, I'm jumping in and to building.
like for instance, one of the boxes you check off, does this affect the school district, right? That's one of the, I mean, how do you check that box? It doesn't.
Well, I'm assuming too that there will
There's
be,
no-
They're gonna have
studies that
to-
are going to be done.
Right,
and
they're
it's the
gonna have
same
to
exact
do
consultants that-
conceptual design and site layouts, and they're gonna have to evaluate potential impact on traffic and stormwater and the school and the medical and, you know, they're going to be bound by pretty much the same types of requirements that you are. When you do the seeker, and that's why I believe that they're going to be engaging a consultant to undertake the work, because that is not going to be done in-house, I don't believe. And part of your feedback can be that, you know, you feel strongly that, you know, that they do need to engage a consultant if they, you know, if your consent conditioned on them, you can go to an outside consultant to do this. I don't know. You have to go. Condition your consent on engaging a consultant.
Never heard of it.
I mean, me either, but I just thought about it.
Yeah, usually it's like, yeah, we consent to you being lead agency, or no, we believe we're more appropriate to be lead agents. And those two things, or you guys can.
So the seeker,
turn it
type
out.
one for this eminent domain is just for that, like,
No, it includes the project, the development, it has to.
we don't have a project, like you said, we don't have anything before us. How do you modify that? How do you modify?
As part of their review process, that is going to be part of their seeker review. There's going to have to be a concept design developed for this property.
Right,
And it's gonna have to show, you know, architecture, layout,
But does
streetscape,
seeker,
Otherwise, it's subject to
lighting.
challenge of other.
does seeker have to
Otherwise,
be
it's subject
done?
to challenge of other people that say the secret wasn't done correctly.
Correct.
Does seeker have to be completed before the city can take ownership of the property? That's.
The eminent domain
The action
requires
is
it.
initiating the.
What they have to do is they have to put a whole project forward,
Well,
start
then
the
that's-
eminent domain process and explain, we're taking by eminent domain,
why,
this is the
you have to
public.
justify.
Right, so
And
then
to
that's,
justify it.
so that's where my confusion was. There's nothing, no plan yet for,
Well,
They
there, I
wanted
mean,
to
I
have-
wouldn't say there's no plan, there is a very conceptual design that has been put out there, I'm sure you've seen it in the newspaper. You know, that shows a streetscape kind of design theme that is being thought about.
it's a cookie cutter general conception right now, is that, I mean,
Does this have anything to do with like progress on all the town halls that has been done around this topic?
Yeah, they want to take it to the next level.
And this is to progress moving that forward and they're initiating that so that they can help
Well,
facilitate.
you know,
moving
my
forward.
understanding is that the city has a goal of building more affordable housing.
Right.
And this is vacant property that has not been used, it's lying dormant. And it's an opportunity for the city to consider putting in some units, because there isn't a lot of vacant property, you know, in the city of Kingston. You know, there's some in Midtown, which the city is working on, and here's some other vacant property. And the business park, there's a plan going forward now to see if housing is possible there. And a consultant was hired for the business park.
The more I think about this, I'm fine with it, because this is, ultimately, if the seeker is not done properly, it's gonna get challenged in court and go back and forth between attorneys from both sides, so.
Agreed.
It doesn't.
I mean, the.
I just wanted to understand it, so.
I mean, you will be involved. I mean, you will be getting the information along the way. You will have opportunities to comment. There will be public hearing. So you will have those.
I mean, let's say they need a major waiver, who decides that?
This board, they don't, the code, the law doesn't change. I mean, you know,
If there's a
neighbors
site
will
plan
still have,
review, it would take.
you
place.
still have site plan review authority.
Yeah, this is.
I just wanted to talk it out, just so I understood what road we're going down.
I'm glad you asked that question though, because now at least, you know, I understand more than I did before, and I get, hopefully all of us do, so as to what the process would be.
This is a new one for us, this one. You know, we've never had eminent domain come across our table before with anything, so, you know.
No, I never did.
I prefer to see progress. This has been like proposed so many times and fallen through so many times. And could potentially contribute a lot of different things to downtown. Something has to move.
Any other discussion? There is a motion. You had a second, right?
Second.
You did second to concur with the common council being the lead agency for the acquisition of the 42 parcels at the corner of Brooklyn and Garrigan Drive through eminent domain and future redevelopment of those parcels into a mixed-use development. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Great.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
good
are?
discussion.
It was very good discussion.
Any other business before the board?
No, just, if you can get me your calendars for the beginning of January. We'll be looking to set up that workshop at some point.
Motion to adjourn by Robert Jacobson.
The last one, 2024.
Lou Platt with a second.
Yeah. All in favor?
Favor?
Aye.